Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. Today is December 20th. Welcome to the TED Show. We're at episode 82 today, I think. I'm with my friend who's, I think I put on there, hustle and food guru, but he's so much more, David Pagan.
Thank you.
I said it right?
You did say
I
it.
did, all right, so I had to practice that a little bit in my head.
But that wasn't the word we
No, we're
practiced.
gonna do that one in a minute. So let us know that you guys can see us and hear us. That would be helpful. And I promise you I will be looking at David in a minute, but you know I like to bring up your comments and who's on. Hey Bob, let us know you can hear us and see us, and that would be very, very helpful. So see how I bring it up? So that's sort of what I look at. So welcome to the show, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. I mean, our world's, what a small world that you're Jason Perez's cousin.
Yes.
It's amazing. And how many Pagan Perez cousins are there? You have a lot?
I would like to know. I think some of them are still flying right now. Not to joke about
I
this.
love it. That's funny. But you have such a fascinating, I mean, Jason does too, but you have such a fascinating history and background. So the one word that I'm going to use is Ricomida.
Yeah.
I tried to roll it. It's not that good.
You did
I mean,
good.
my
You did
Spanish,
good.
I did have to use Spanish today with my Uber driver because he spoke absolutely no English.
I think we had the same Uber driver.
I had to look up left, which is something like izquierda or
Yeah,
something.
izquierda.
Yes.
Yeah,
and I had to keep going that way. But anyway, welcome.
Yeah.
So you've got a great history. Give us a little bit of a background while I make sure I see people on. I want to make sure that they can hear us, but give us a little bit of background on you. Tell us about David.
I was born in Brooklyn, New York. Moved down here with many other Pagans and Perez's.
Park Slope as well?
No, my father was from the Marcy Project.
Oh, well, there you go.
Jason was in
Park Slope,
yeah.
which is now a beautiful shishi upscale area.
Yeah, it's very different
like
now.
Williamsburg and
it's
all
like
of that.
what they did to Thornton Park.
Yes, very much so. They
Yeah,
came in
it's
and did
nice
it.
now. But we came here when I was really young, went to school here. And my father owned a business when I was growing up. Not necessarily because he wanted to, but it was a little more expensive to live here. So he started cutting grass. Yeah, just a smidge. In Orlando, anyway.
I did not know that. I would have thought New York was much more expensive. No?
I mean, Manhattan.
Yeah, Manhattan. I don't even count that.
So,
Is that really New York?
Yeah, Bed-Stuy is not what it used to be.
No, it's not.
So I got to see what it was like and what kind of work ethic it took to run a business and take care of a family from a very early age, and I hated it.
Really?
Oh, I hated it. I hate the smell of cut grass to this day.
Oh my gosh, so the business, you don't like this because it brings back, what, memories of
that's not how I wanted to spend my summers.
Sure.
School.
Yeah.
But I learned a lot.
So you were a recruit for the business.
I was the first recruit. So I just learned a lot of hard work. I saw my father struggle for many, many years. And he didn't have a business in the day and age that we do now.
Right. It's completely different. Absolutely different.
Yeah. But he was still able to make it work. And after years, I saw that it took years of working hard for a long time. And then you kind of get to start.
Correct.
So when I got out of school, I went into college, had no idea what I really wanted. I said all the stuff that we all say. I want to go be a business major and minor in computers.
Does anybody really know when they go to, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I
Is
want to be a
minoring
TV show
in
host.
computers a real thing? I don't
It
know.
is.
Yeah, minor computers.
Hey Tisha, hey Mary.
That's my knowledge of computers.
That's
is
it?
Minor. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
So,
I get it. I'm a little slow today.
Yeah, it's a little different now.
This coffee's too cold. I don't know what's happening.
The coffee is cold. Mine got cold too. I could use it. I went to school for business. Ended up moving to North Carolina after starting a family. It was a little cheaper to live up there. Became a firefighter.
Oh, I didn't know you were a firefighter.
I really loved that. Yeah, for a few years up there, 2 years. Went to night school while I was working full time up there. That was extremely rewarding. I liked helping people. I liked that I got paid to work out and paid to do some pretty cool superhero stuff.
Sure.
And the outfit was nice. The helmet was heavy, but my ears held it up okay.
Your ears did.
Yeah. Cartilage is not very supportive, by the way. And then I came back to Florida and I got into real estate because I couldn't transfer my certifications from North Carolina. And that was a really long 2 months when I started and you're waiting for something to close.
Yeah,
you know, and you've
it's
got
hard.
all these leads out there, and this
I
one
agree.
gets turned down.
It's very difficult, the market is.
But I learned again how to work for myself and how to be a self-starter, how to close, and really got to learn a lot of the stuff I did as a child growing up with my cousins, joking around, and kind of learned how to play a room, so to speak, or read a room, I should say.
Sure, read a room.
Play a room is for the pirates and hustlers out there. But it all kind of came in handy. So I was very successful.
It's a learning. It's a you're constantly learning and growing, and you were able to hone your craft.
I learned there were a lot of people that had more difficult loans that people just didn't want to bend down to pick up.
Correct.
Do a little more effort.
Yes.
And that paid a whole lot more. And then the referrals that you got for handling a tough situation were 10 times better.
You would think that would be such a normal 101
Common
when it comes
practice,
to
right?
sales. Oh, I like it that it went a little darker.
Pay the power bill.
But I did not pay the
Citrus
power
Club.
bill. I probably do, actually.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people miss out on that. They miss out on an opportunity because somebody's told them they only want to go after what looks golden.
Right.
And there's so much low-hanging fruit that if you just develop it or spend a little more time, and it doesn't have to be real estate.
There was a lot of low-hanging fruit. I can't blame everybody because
Right.
everyone was a mortgage broker and a real estate agent at the time.
Back in the day.
You know?
coming
But then
back.
the market fell out.
Right.
And then I got into wholesale real estate and picking up houses. Yeah.
Flip houses.
And that only lasted so long, and eventually the investors stopped coming.
Yeah, people did not want to put any cash. It was too tight.
No,
too
no,
crazy.
and that's all there was. So I decided to start bartending and serving while I figured stuff out. I got a job with a magazine in the meantime, actually.
You could use all your selling skills there.
And I did, and I got to travel, and I got to learn how to network at that level and how to work a trade show. And so I always, from the time I got like my first job, I didn't realize it when I was younger, but I kind of took a little something from each one of those jobs and each one of those careers and the successes and the failures in each one. And I was able to at least apply them in the next one. And so I got a little bit further each time.
Right.
But no matter what, my success and how far I could get was dependent on a lot of other people.
Right.
And I didn't like that. That no matter how hard I worked, this would happen or that would happen, or
Right.
then something happens with the whole country and you got no control over
There's
that.
no control at that point.
I wasn't comfortable with that, and neither were my children or their college funds.
Sure.
So I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I could sell. So
I
continued to
have
travel.
no doubt. I have no doubt.
So
Bob Lee, you're right. Always closing. Always closing.
always be closing. Always be closing. And ABC, right?
ABC.
But I started to do really well in the magazine, and then the magazine got bought out.
Isn't that crazy
And
how
the new
that works?
CEO changed everything, let go of everyone except for me, and then ultimately let go of me as well.
Were you selling ads or selling space?
Selling ads, yeah. And
That's a hard.
as it was.
That's hard too, especially people weren't spending any money on. Normally, they weren't spending any money on any kind of
Well, it's
advertising.
thin air. You're selling thin air, basically,
Correct.
to them.
Correct.
As opposed to a bunch of mini billboards. But just like real estate, when people believe it no longer has value, and they believe that print no longer has value, then it has no more value.
Correct.
If it has no more value to the
Correct.
consumer or to whoever you're trying to sell it to, it doesn't matter how
I'm
cheap you're selling it.
amazed though that in this day and age, now I love to get a magazine and I like to touch it and read it and flip it. I'm not necessarily
And
big
throw
on the
it- throw it
digital,
away.
and then throw it into the recycling bin. But honestly, there's a lot of people that in this day and age that really do, all they do is read the digital part. So there's somebody that I know who was a guest on the show, is this Wednesday? Maybe she was on Monday. She owns a magazine, IBA.
Jennifer
Yon,
Jennifer
yes.
Yon, yes.
And I am amazed at what she's doing with that magazine, because she's built like this entire branding empire around it. So it's not just
It's like a
an ad
marketing
and
machine.
It's a marketing
But marketing is I don't like that word because
people have a weird.
they have
but
a negative
it's
connotation.
descriptive. I think what you're saying is right. It's like it is a machine, and
marketing
it's definitely
isn't
around.
sales.
It's not.
Marketing
sales.
is getting your message out.
Correct. She's really taken it to the next level, and I think that's so smart in the magazine world to be able to do that, because you're not just selling the air anymore. You're actually selling, all right, so I'm going to introduce you to these people, and here you're not just buying an ad, you're going to get introduced to everybody who's affiliated with the magazine. You're going to get introduced to people at mixers that are all built around the magazine. So,
right.
Very smart stuff. So how did you get, because I have had a few people go, talk about the food, Ted.
Yeah, because I haven't gotten to
I know, so
everyone wants to get in the kitchen.
Everybody I do not. I just want to get in the kitchen of eat.
We'll edit that.
No, that's good. What was the thought process behind
So I've loved cooking since I could watch TV. And I saw a cooking show called Wok with Jan when I was a kid. And I loved it. And I just watched it. I watched it over cartoons. And I don't know why I loved it, but I thought the guy was hilarious too. I was pretty easy to entertain.
What was the name of it?
Wok.
Oh,
Wok.
W-O-K. I gotcha.
Walk or work, perhaps. I think it was Wok.
I love it.
With Jan. And his whole show, we were joking about this before, but his whole show was just one complete run-on sentence because he concluded every sentence with, and then he would go on to the next step. And I thought I would look around at my parents, I was like, is no one catching all of the grammatical errors in speech, which I didn't know you could.
I love it.
And then one day my mom called me when I was home from school. I was around 8 years old. And she had forgotten to take out the pork chops for dinner, which means they'd be frozen, which means dinner wouldn't be ready on time, and that's not a good thing in a Puerto Rican house. So anyone's house, I would imagine.
Right.
But she started giving me instructions over the phone. And it was the coolest thing in the world to me. I felt like some secret agent that had to put together a bomb or defuse one. Is really what it was.
That's what you
Dinner not being ready in a Puerto Rican home is a bomb that needs to be diffused. And so she's telling me, take the pork chops out, and we had the oddest measurements in our house, right? You know, take a cap full of vinegar and put it on each thing instead of a tablespoon, or, you know, douse a cup of vinegar, whatever.
Traditions and measurements. I like that.
And she even did the conversion rate. She was like, well, my hand is about this big, so in your hand, make it fill your hand with salt, and that's how much you put in the rice,
that's
right?
Awesome, though.
So, and I was really proud. When my mom came home, everything was laid out, just like the cooking shows, like the prep was done, and I was hooked. So I had progressively gotten better and better over the years at perfecting my mom's dishes.
Did your mom start letting you have some free reign in the kitchen?
No.
No.
No. And whenever I did experiment,
Mom.
Here's a story I'll tell you guys right now. When I did, it was met with a lot of apprehension and fear, because you don't necessarily want to eat something your child made, and you're certainly not going to serve it to other people without having tasted it.
It's a little fearful. I get it.
So here's the story. We have people over for dinner that live in Melbourne or some faraway country, I believed at the time, and they come over for dinner, and we didn't have any salad dressing, right? And I had gotten to the point where I could make my own salads, right? Which is iceberg lettuce and salad dressing. Right. That's what it was. It's just like my sandwiches, right? Lettuce with bread.
Right.
Is a wish sandwich. So I go ahead and I make a salad dressing myself, right? I'll skip some stuff. I didn't know what salad dressing, I knew what it was supposed to taste like. I knew what I liked, and I knew what it looked like.
Right.
Through the clear bottle. So I made something that looked like it. I put vinegar, I put oil, I threw in some oregano, other stuff that I just saw in the cupboard that looked like this stuff floating around in this bottle suspended, right? So I go ahead and make it. Everyone shows up for dinner. We get ready to start eating. You eat the salad first.
Right.
We get ready to serve it, and my mom goes, oh, I forgot to get dressing. And I was like, don't worry, I made some. Her eyes got like this big. She was like, what do you mean? But it was already on the table.
Too late, Mom.
It's already on the table because I put it there, right? And so we sit down, and she doesn't say a word to anybody. I don't know if she was embarrassed or what. We sit down. I'm sitting right next to my mom here, and our guest of honor is right here on my right. And he goes into the salad. He puts it. My mom's watching this dressing go all around the table.
Oh, she's panicked.
And I'm watching it too, but with a different expression on my face, clearly, right? I'm
You're
excited.
proud.
Yeah, I'm proud.
I get it.
So it gets, and I didn't taste it either, by the way. So I didn't know what it tasted like.
You hadn't tasted
it? I hadn't tasted it, no. I knew it smelled the way I like.
Okay.
I don't know how old I was. I was real little.
You were little.
So pours it on there. He goes in. You hear the crunch. All of a sudden he goes, who made this dressing?
My mom. Your mom just flipped.
My mom turned state's evidence on me in a drop of a dime. Man,
she sold you out.
She just said, I don't know what he put in there. He made it, or whatever. And of course, my jaw drops. I'm like,
uh-oh.
I like, Mom, what are you? You're my mom.
Yeah, no.
I came out of you. Why are you doing this to me? And anyway, he said that he loved it. And from that point on, for the rest of the evening, I didn't hear anything. I was on cloud nine.
Of course.
I made something. He liked it. Everyone liked it.
That's awesome.
But I really didn't hear anything other than his words, right? So when I cooked for people, I started to get a real high when they were quiet.
Is that what it is? So you're not, you got to the point where that became, you knew that was a passion of yours, that you could hone your craft and be fantastic.
Yeah, but you're not told that that's something you can go into when you're a kid. You know what I mean?
Correct.
You have to get a job, you have to do this, you have to do that. And if you do want to cook, then you have to go to this cooking school to do that, and you have to do that. And I didn't do any of that stuff. I got to be honest with you. I didn't. You know, I didn't go to cooking school. Cooking school for me started at 8 years old.
Right.
You know.
But I don't think you have to go to a school to have a passion for anything, cooking, whatever it is. If you have the passion and you're willing to experiment and have the ability to experiment within an environment where it allows you to grow, then that's just, for me, college used to be the thing, or schools used to be the thing. I'm glad that my kids are almost out of college.
Right.
Now, no. I mean, I think a lot of people really are looking at and kind of self-training, which is what you did, right?
Yeah.
You did trial and error. You figured out, but having that spark at such an early age is really cool.
It was pretty cool, and it was always something a passion that stayed with me, although I didn't realize it was a passion. It was just something that I guess I didn't know what a passion was, really, when I was younger. It was something I liked.
You liked it.
So when I was at a crossroads in my life a few years back, not having the job at the magazine anymore, having to ride a bike to work, you know, stuff like that, losing the place where you live.
Yeah.
It's hard, especially as a dad.
Absolutely.
But, you know, the things I teach them, I have to do myself. So I had to figure out what I wanted to do with my life at, how old am I now? 41?
Wow, you look good for 41.
Thank you. It's the lighting.
It's like, yeah,
and
the lighting.
I'm in the darker part of
it. Yeah, you are in the darker.
Yeah, it's the sofrito that keeps me young.
Sofrito. We're going to have to talk about that.
So I was always cooking for everybody, and everyone just kept telling me, you need to open a restaurant. I said, I have no interest in opening a restaurant. It's too much. You never get out of the kitchen.
Yeah, that's more than just your passion, because you're not just cooking and being
I like
a
the
chef
people.
anymore.
I like feeding people.
Yes.
I don't like cooking food,
And you've got
it's
this
pretty
whole
awesome.
management and business thing that goes along with it.
I
and
like
I think
feeding
people
people.
fear that it's going to tap into their passion. I have some friends, Mary Tiffany was on earlier on the show. She's probably still on. She makes cakes.
It's Tiffany.
And I'm like, just open a cake shop. Your cakes are the best I've ever had. But she wants to do it on her dime when she wants to do it.
And there's also an obscene amount of overhead involved in a brick and mortar business.
I mean, I've had brick and mortar businesses. It's crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of just rent alone, then you have staff and all the stuff that goes into it. So it eats away, I think, at people's passion, or it becomes more of a chore than you don't get as much joy out of it because you're dealing with all of the other things.
Right.
So
I just not to cut you off, but I'm going to cut you off.
You're totally. It's your show. Bring it.
I'm pretty sure it's the Ted Show. So when everyone kept telling me that, and I didn't know what to do with that, because I knew I didn't have the means of doing this. I knew nobody was going to give me $300,000 or anything close to six figures to open a restaurant.
Correct.
So one day I went to Nebraska to visit my girlfriend's family. And they wanted to taste the food that I've been making for this woman that's been speaking so highly of it. So I was like, I'm going to do that. So I go to Walmart, where everyone goes in Nebraska to get food. And
who knew?
Well, that makes, yeah. So they didn't have any plantains. None. No plantains. No adobo, which is like the general seasoning we all use.
Well,
and there was no cilantro. There was no cilantro. I know, but it's a grocery store, man.
But not, I mean,
it's
Nebraska.
A grocery store.
Did they even know how to pronounce, nothing against Nebraskans, by the way, but did they know what a plantain was?
No, go Huskers to the family we have in Nebraska. The produce guy had an idea. He was like, man, those are those green bananas. I was like, no, green bananas are green bananas. These are plantains, but I'm pretty sure you're thinking the same thing. And he had to admit that he had never seen them there. So I was shocked. And it was at that point that I realized that most of the country is not exposed to Puerto Rican food, exposed to Puerto Rican flavor, all this stuff. And at that point, I was a little hurt.
You were hurt. Well,
and I wanted to do something about it because I thought that was I love cooking for people. I love what food does to people, brings them together.
Absolutely.
All their guard comes down. They get quiet because their mouth is full. You know, all those things. So, well, the silence means that the food is good.
Yes,
otherwise
I understand.
They start complaining.
I like it anyway.
Or they try to change the subject, right? Right away, they're crunching on something that shouldn't be crunchy.
Right.
And they want to talk about the magic or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So don't say. I wasn't going to say that.
I'm very happy you did.
I was a season ticket holder for many years. Yeah, thank you, Magic, for the years.
That's a whole. No,
all three.
We should have a show just about that.
No, we shouldn't. When I made sofrito fresh for them, and sofrito is the key ingredient and cooking base that Puerto Ricans and many Latin and Caribbean islands use in their cooking. It's the cooking base for everything. Sofrito is a cooking base that consists of, it's different from island to island, and it's different from home to home even, right? It's kind of an heirloom recipe that you pass down from generation to generation, but I found that it hasn't really been passed down lately, not authentically anyway. So it consists of green pepper, onion, garlic, cilantro, oregano, lime juice. Some people use habanero peppers, some people use sweet peppers, salt and pepper to kind of taste. Culantro is in there as well, which is a very unique herb and spice that people use.
I did not know any of this. I'm fascinated. I'm actually
each one of those ingredients, some of the later ones that I used, you can put in or take out. And some people will say, no, you can't. Some people say, yeah, you can.
That's the heirloom part.
But it's different for everybody. And I wanted to make a product that everyone could enjoy. So, because some of those spices and flavors, everyone's not ready for, to be honest with you.
Right.
You know? Right. Let's just baby step it in.
So this is like the chicken broth of non-Puerto Rican food.
It's not like the chicken broth.
All right, I'm just thinking of bases. I can only make a cheesy bagel. So
no,
anything you talk about,
it's just like an all-around. There's really not anything you can relate it to in English cuisine because it's not a barbecue sauce.
Right.
It's not a condiment. It's not just a marinade. And I didn't realize that it wasn't just a cooking base or a marinade until I started producing it, and my customers started using it and eating it out of the jar.
So that's what you started producing?
That's what I started producing because I made it in Nebraska, and my girlfriend's family demanded that I put it in a bottle. And they had knives and forks in their hands, so I took it pretty seriously. And when I came home, we did some real soul searching, and I was like, okay, then what do I have to do in order to do that?
Right.
And it was a big question mark. I didn't
know. Because there's sacrifices that everybody's going to have to be on board with. Right. Anytime you do any kind of business venture at all, or take a leap of faith somewhere, you really need to have everybody on the same page.
Right.
Which is and you have children, so of course everybody really had to you had to take a lot into consideration.
Yeah, we had to talk to the whole family really, including my kids. But we did it, and the first thing I did was perfect the recipe, right? Which I kind of already did, but I always did it by eye and by hand. So now I needed to measure everything out and take my passion and break it down to a science, which was really difficult because I had never done it before.
Sure.
Then I did it, and I had no ideas on how to get it out. None. Other than cooking for people, but I couldn't break into people's houses and cook for them.
Because that's a big thing. You have to get all the branding. You have to know what it's going to be put in, I imagine. So you've got to have all the marketing and the
Dude, I didn't know
vehicle.
what I was doing.
I think a lot of people don't, but that's an honest thing to admit.
I knew how to make sofrito. I didn't know how to make a product.
Correct.
So I made sofrito because that's what I knew how to do, and I put it in the little plastic Jello shot molds that you get at Walmart.
I've seen them. I've had those allegedly.
Right, allegedly they've been. So I made it fresh, put it inside a bunch of those, put the cap on, wrote the name of my company, Ricomida, which I didn't even have an LLC for yet at the time, and then wrote my phone number, my personal phone number. And I went and hit the street.
Nice.
And I went to every restaurant I could find within walking distance because the Mustang was not in perfect order at the time.
I get it.
And I got some great feedback, and people liked it. I got some people that said, you might want to work on this, you got to work on that, and then some people that just loved it immediately. It did not turn into sales, on top of the fact that I didn't have anything to sell yet.
Right.
And then started this long, arduous journey that eventually became known as Ricomida, because
So
I
what
didn't
does
even want it to
Ricomida
be
mean?
Puerto Rican at first. Ricomida means good food.
Good food.
That's my phrase.
Isn't that awesome?
It's a play on words, obviously, Puerto Rico. So there's that in the logo and in the phrase. Rico just means good or rich, and comida means food. So Ricomida is a play on words, which I'm a big fan of wordplay and puns, alliteration. Any kind of poetry you can do live is pretty awesome to me.
I was hoping you'd sing for us at some point.
No,
Not on this show.
Who said that to you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
I get the Mark Anthony reference a lot.
Oh God, yeah, right?
I
Well,
do.
I'm looking at this they probably can't see it. My head looks like 40 times bigger than David's right now, the way I've got the camera set up.
It's because
I
I'm
need
leaning
help.
further back.
I know. It's just crazy. So that's
Just-
okay. That's a little better. Thank
it's
you.
a
I
little better.
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
we'll just-
Mark Anthony, though,
This
I
is
get it.
perfectly normal.
Hey Jenny, how are you? And Bob Lee just made a very cool comment. I want to share that. 'Cause
What did
I love
Bob
to
have to say?
Bob said, "Internet has made it far easier to start a new business and market that business," and that's true. But what David did was really go out and hit the streets. You went door knocking, which is a lost art. But I think for a lot of products, that's the best way to kind of get your feet wet and to get some feedback that you're not paying a marketing company. Nothing against marketing companies, a bunch of money. You can get the feedback immediately.
Mm-hmm.
People don't want to talk to you, fine. You just keep knocking on doors, and eventually someone will give you feedback, which they did, which is awesome. So what did you do once you hit that and said, okay, I've got no sales, but I got some positive feedback?
I had to learn how to put a business plan together, which I had never done before.
And how do you learn that? Did you?
I had to lean on my resources and the people around me. There were a lot of things I was good at, and there were far more that I wasn't.
Right.
You know, obviously, just by statistics and odds,
Correct,
right?
correct.
You can only be excellent at a few things, contrary to what Jason Perez will tell you about himself. No,
Totally.
I'm sorry, Jason.
Jay's going to watch this later.
Sorry,
He's up
not
in the
sorry.
air right now. Not sorry.
So I had a friend of mine who worked for Universal Studios at the time. Right now he works for Golf Channel. He's in financing, he has an MBA. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, I don't know what to do. I don't even know what I don't know. I know that I have this and I need to know blah, blah, blah. So he just started asking me questions. And at first the questions felt threatening. Right? It was
sure,
a lot of
because
entrepreneurs.
he's tearing apart your baby, basically.
But not intentionally, right? He's just
no.
asking questions.
He's asking questions, and I think a lot of people it's great that it's your baby, but you have to be, if you're going to ask your resources, which is exactly what you should do, you've got to be able to understand that they're coming at it. If you want a business person's input, you have to understand that that's what they're going to do. It's not their baby, it's your baby.
Right.
So that's...
It's no different than going to a doctor, right, with a child. They can't talk. They need you to explain.
Correct.
So just shoot them straight. If you don't shoot them straight, they don't... I mean, we've watched The Profit and Shark Tank. They're going to find out because numbers don't lie.
Always.
Right?
Yes.
So just tell them what's actually going on and they can tell you what they need.
Correct.
That being said, I leaned on... And you can't really do that unless you, first of all, take a real serious stock of your circle.
Agreed.
Right?
Totally.
If you're not surrounded by... You don't go get stock advice from a homeless guy.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so if you're starting a business, there are so many different things that are involved in that you couldn't possibly be good at. Not good at, that you couldn't possibly be the expert in every facet. So go to your experts, you know. So I did that.
You're good at making food. You're good at cooking, being a chef. I don't know what you like to go by, but that's what you're good at.
Right.
So being able to tap into, and I think a lot of people don't. Like I get asked all the time because I put it out there. What do you think about this? What do you think about that? Be a resource for people, and I'm sure that you're a resource for people now that you've got your businesses are moving and progressing and doing well. But yeah, I think that's so important what you did, and I think it's a missed opportunity that a lot of people don't take advantage of.
Right. And you'll be surprised when you're being authentic and genuine and honest and you state what your real intention is, which of course is going to take, you can't be an entrepreneur unless you know yourself, right? I guess you can start some businesses, but you can't really be an entrepreneur until you know yourself. Because you're not going to know what you're good at, your strengths, your weaknesses, or even what you have. So, take stock of your group and then use your resources. That's what, and we'll get into this, but that's what the hustle's all about, right?
Well, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about One Heart. Believe it or not, we're already at 30 minutes, so I want to get some of the stuff in. because there's so much good stuff that you have, but I also want people to know how to access Ricomida and what you're doing, because you've got some pop-up opportunities, or you're working at District Mills 50.
Right, District Mills 50.
And so give them some information about that.
So here's what's going on now with Ricomida. I have gotten into 3 different locations. They are with The Cookery. You can find them online, IG, The Cookery, Florida. They have 3 locations here in Orlando, or I should say 2 in Orlando, 1 just outside. So Winter Garden at the Plant Street Market, which is where you can find me doing some pop-up cooking and find out what the Puerto Rican food's all about and some of the new stuff I'm doing. The District at Mills 50, will also be doing some pop-up cooking there. Working with them in the kitchen, and at both of those locations you can find my product, and the Market on South Street. And oddly enough, 2 of those are vegan, and I did not expect.
Yeah, it's back.
South Street.
Wait, Market on South, is that the one right down here, or it's?
Yeah. There's the Sanctum that's over here as well. I'm not in the Sanctum yet.
Market
Sanctum,
on South Street.
You're on notice.
Sanctum,
Market on South Street, because it is a completely vegan product, all natural. It tastes amazing, and it's a new flavor that they're not exposed to. There's only so many in that niche of vegan food, so this is something that I'm really proud to offer to the vegan community. My daughter's a vegetarian now, on her way to, she's in transition as we speak, so I've kind of changed our diet at home as well.
That's awesome.
And I have a lot of vegan followers, which I wasn't expecting, so I want to honor them. And Puerto Rican food, honestly, if you just take the chicken or the pork chop off the plate, it's a vegan meal.
Right.
And you have all the same flavor.
It's so good.
That being said, try some vegan alternative meats. It's not what you think. It's different than it used to be.
Totally.
So those are the 3 locations. You can find my product right now. And
we'll post all this at the end of the show, and when we share everything on social media.
Yes, and you can of course go to ricomida.com and buy sofrito, kind of tying into the hustle and One Heart for you there. You'll be able to find out a lot about my story. The ricomida.com website will be redone shortly. Don't judge me too much on that. It's not my specialty.
We don't judge here.
Oh man, yeah we do. I'm reading the comments.
You're reading
what
the comments
are for. It should just be called the judgment section.
I love the interaction.
Yeah, the jury. That's what it should say.
They are the jury, that's for sure.
But that's where it can be found. You'll see a little bit more about my story, how I'm connected to our community here with One Heart, and
talk about One Heart.
Partner. One Heart is an organization that I found networking a few years back, before I started Ricomida, actually. One Heart for Women and Children. They're located off of Rio Grande in College Park, right at the edge there, before you get to Silver Star. And I met her while I was soul searching and doing personal development stuff, and I went to an event to help a friend, to support a friend, I should say, not help a friend, support a friend.
Sure.
There's a difference, and we need to change the language around
I agree.
By the way.
That's correct.
I went there to support a friend, and everything I could do. I invited people, I showed up, and at the back of this trade show was this absolute comet of a woman that could have lit up the whole place if the lights were out. And I was immediately drawn to her, and I went to her. Stephanie, if you're watching, I love you. Stephanie Bowman, who's the founder of One Heart, was there.
I know Stephanie Bowman.
You know Stephanie?
I think
She's
do, yeah.
my favorite person in the universe.
She's amazing.
Yeah.
She's totally amazing.
Amazing story of her own. Please go check them out. We support them. Every jar that you buy, by the way, buys... I should say not every jar that you buy. I have a special package on the ricomida.com that if you purchase, help families in transition. Wow. And that's what they do. I found out her story. I found out that she used to be homeless. I found out that's why it's so important to her. And so she's a full-time volunteer, a lot of full-time volunteers there, and they literally help the homeless. They help families in transition before they get there, which is the most important thing, because I saw what financial issues do to a family.
We've all experienced it.
And too many families are broken up, and then children end up in that mess, which I'm extremely passionate about, over a bill that could have been rectified and then taken stress off the family. So it's just a real important thing.
And I think because people don't talk about those things enough, and they don't, what did you say, instead of you support your friends,
instead of
get the ego out of it. I think
help is what you give strangers.
Correct. Support is what you give your circle, your friends, your family.
Your friends. And so she very quickly became a part of my circle.
I love that.
And awesome. I was just really drawn to her and her authenticity. And she looks at you, she looks through you, like she sees you. And it felt very compelling and very, what's the word? Vulnerable.
Sure, vulnerability. We talk about that a lot.
And it takes a lot to do that. And she's a leader because of her vulnerability. And so I learned that from her, about telling the real story, all of it.
Yep.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Everything.
And so little by little over the years, I became more and more involved to the point where when I launched Ricomida, my first thought was, I love to feed people. I don't like when people go hungry. I don't like it at all.
No.
And it has way too much power to bring people together. So I want to be involved in that. And I always wanted to start a nonprofit with that involved, but here Stephanie already had it.
Right.
And so instead of me wanting the guts and the glory, if you can even call it that, because if you know what it takes to run a nonprofit, it is not guts and glory.
Crazy.
It's just guts.
Yep. No glory.
So no glory at the end of the day. It is true service. So I wanted to do that. I wanted to play that role. So I made sure that every portion of Ricomida's profits from the sofrito line indefinitely go to help feed.
That's amazing.
And I put a special package on there just for her that involves some other stuff other than just the sofrito to add extra value to help One Heart continue to help these families and to get rid of a lot of the issues that we know have no business existing.
And we'll post Stephanie's information too. And then there's two things, because Jason will kill me if we don't talk about the January 9th. But you haven't, so tell them a little bit about your t-shirt though.
So the t-shirt,
the name of the show is Hustle is the New Happy.
And I know from watching your show that this is backwards.
It's a little backwards.
So it'll say Hustle is the New Happy.
That's right.
That came about because of a very special person who I met through One Heart. I can't say enough about community and treating your business and your neighborhood like Sesame Street. Social media actually makes that more possible.
I agree.
Even though it's technology and people are afraid of it, it definitely brings it closer together. All right, that being said, I don't even remember where I was just there.
Hustle, we're going to talk about Hustle.
That's right, the Hustle. So I got an opportunity because I reached out to someone to help and to support a videographer that also supports One Heart. And I just reached out to her because we're both really big fans of Gary Vee. And I said, hey, is there anything I can help you with? Because I know what it's like.
Sure.
And I had a little bit of time and a little bit of clarity, so I was like, let me reach out. And I did, and she said, I need a sponsor. And I was like, a sponsor for what? She said, I need a sponsor for makeup. And Sarah, my significant other, is a makeup artist, professional for over 20 years.
Wow, very cool.
Works at the Florida Mall, Dillard's. Shout out, by the way. Go get your
See,
makeup
Sarah,
done
we
by
did
my
it.
lady. We did it, Sarah. So I let her know, long story short, I have something that could suit your needs and we don't have to pay any money for it. Sarah agreed to do it for her. So she did it. It came out amazing. During one of her Facebook Lives that she posted, because I was supporting and watching her, someone had commented about, you work so hard, blah, blah, blah. And she expressed that it's what makes her happy. She likes doing stuff and then seeing the fruits of her labor and then how she can connect to other people and help other people.
That's
right?
Cool.
So I put on there hashtag Hustle is the New Happy in her feed. And she loved it. And I
love it. I think it's awesome.
And because a lot of people ask, like even if you watch Gary Vee, who's a big fan,
I love
we're big
Gary
fans
Vee.
of.
Me too.
People ask him often, and a lot of people are looking for it. They're not looking for a career. They're not looking for a business. They're looking to be happy. And they all say it, I just want to be happy.
I agree.
And it means something different to everybody. For me, my hustle, which came from my passion, is what makes me happy. I get to do what I love now every day. There's plenty of frustrating stuff involved with it.
Sure.
But I love the food. I love the fact that I get to take something that's 100% me and authentic, and I get to walk out every day into the street.
I love that.
And not be afraid of any question that comes at me because everything that I do is me.
Correct. There's no
question I don't have the answer to.
There's no skeleton there. You're doing what you're doing.
Right.
And there's nothing that anybody can take away from on that.
So here's what I did after that Facebook feed. And that Facebook feed was her receiving from Gary Vee himself the shoes before they were released, the women's shoe.
Wow.
And he had asked her to do a promo video. That's what she needed the sponsor for.
That's right.
Well, I didn't connect it when I first, when I watched the Facebook video or the Facebook Live, and then she did, I made the phone call to her and she said she needed a sponsor. I didn't realize. When I did, after I hung up the phone with her, I was like, you know what? I wonder what a t-shirt would look like. So I went online, I found some print your t-shirts yourself website, and I made a print and I took a screenshot of it and I just sent it to her without saying a word. And she's like, I love it. Can we get one for the model to wear in the promo video for Gary V's new K-Swiss line of women's shoe? Wow. It's not a commercial, it's not. She got asked to film a promo video,
sure,
right? So it's not like we could hang our hat in and be like, all right, we're going to sell a million shirts. That had nothing to do with it.
Right.
It was literally just a phrase that came up, and it worked, and it represented a lot of what we believe in our inner circle. No one's going to give you happiness. There's no formula to happiness. You have to go make it for yourself, and you're not going to do it without hustle. If happiness is worth it for you, hustle for it. It may suck for the first 4 or 5 years, but your life, if you weren't looking to be happy, then
but you're still doing
converse,
something
your life might suck
love
now, right? So you might as well go for yours.
Right.
I think Jim Carrey said something at Harvard or one of the schools he was speaking at. He was like, you're going to end up with regrets or whatever it was. You might as well do what you love and fail at that if you're not going to be happy anyway.
People are I feel like because of social media and because that age group, which is, I can't believe, even a little younger than you all push they push, and they've pushed everyone to think outside of those limitations and to really try to live their life authentically with vulnerability and their passion. They don't live for a paycheck, which is what I was raised. Mm-hmm. You've got to have a paycheck. You got to do all of these things.
How much does that pay?
How much?
It was the question after every statement you
correct. How much? And you don't have to do that anymore. And I think people are so afraid to take that leap, but they're becoming better about it because we have social media telling them, look, you can do this. There's all these new venues, or there's a lot of platforms that you can use to do the things that you dream about. And so I think what you did and what you talk about is just awesome. Hustle is the new habit.
It was fun. I never had. Listen, I used to do screen printing before a long time ago. One of my buddy's companies, I was working for him. Everyone wants to launch a t-shirt company. I think that their t-shirts are the best idea.
That's true.
This isn't a t-shirt company, right? This is a message, a grind. Respect for what it takes to do what everyone does. This is not just for entrepreneurs, right? Like we happen to be entrepreneurs. It took a lot to get to this point. You know what I mean? Correct. It took a lot of, the hustle started long before you start your business.
That is such a great point.
Your hustle could be your education. Your hustle could be your night school. Your hustle could be, I personally gave the first shirt that we made of this was green, is in a V-neck. That's what the model's wearing. Go to hustleisthenew.com or Hustling Happy on IG. You'll be able to see it. Looks great. Came out beautiful. Anisha Collins, absolute brilliant videographer.
Your amazing things about you, Anisha.
She blessed us by letting us use the shirt. And to be honest with you, let me say this. Because of the collaboration and as opposed to competition and exclusion, when I offered her the shirt and she took the shirt, what became of it was 10 times larger than what either of us were doing individually, right? Because even in the video, she highlighted the shirt way more than I thought she was going to.
Yep.
Right? And it wasn't, again, it's not about the shirt. It has nothing to, it has everything to do with
the hustle.
Say that
again, it's the collaboration
instead of the
collaboration
competition as opposed to competition.
So critical.
Far more to gain.
I agree.
So she highlighted the shirt more, and then she even closed the video out with "Hustle is the new happy."
Man, that's awesome.
Right? So we've only been selling the shirts to like the inner circle and some people that have seen it because we haven't blown it out there yet or put any money into the Facebook advertising and IG advertising. But what Anisha did was just absolutely amazing, and it just speaks to the community. I wouldn't have had Anisha had I not given myself and served with one heart.
Yep.
In that capacity, because the odds of me being there the same day she was pretty slim. I wouldn't have been there had I not have been supporting somebody in the past and being authentic and genuine, and I wouldn't have even put the things together had I not put my hustle in with Ricomida to then be able to use that as a resource, which is aside from, and just to say again, hustleisthenew.com. Pick up your shirt. This is one of the originals. The font is slightly different online. It's a little more Run DMC-ish, so it's a little more gangster.
Run DMC.
But as you can see, the font's a little bigger. That's how I like to think of it. A little throwback. But as you can see, one of the reasons why I made it just a t-shirt, and I explained it in the About section of the webpage, is that the life of a hustler, whatever that looks like for you, is like you can't leave the house and expect to be dressed that way or only do one set of things, right? I could end up in the warehouse, do an inventory here with you, go do this, and we made it like this to kind of honor that, so that you could wake up in the morning, do this, go to a networking event, move boxes if you have to, right? Work in a coffee shop, take your daughter to school, and then hit the gym, and all of it represents your hustle, right? So that's why we did it. It was just an opportunity, and again, you don't see those if you're not If you're not hustling.
Sandy Cheshire says she wants one, and Jason, hey Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy.
Hey Jade.
Can't wait to see it.
Jason popped on, so let's close out with, because we're way past our time, and we're like 20 minutes
It
past.
happens.
It's fine. I like
We'll do
it.
a follow-up.
Always. But tell them about January 9th.
January 9th, the open house.
Yes.
In Fort Lauderdale.
We'll
be
post
doing
all the
a
details.
special executive chef appearance during that open house. I've got some very special new stuff that nobody's tasted yet or experienced. It's really exciting.
I'm excited.
What we're doing, because
we'll post that
no one's
too.
ever put that stuff together, like a Top Chef and an open house in a Kim Kardashian MTV Cribs type home.
Cribs, I forgot about that show.
MTV Cribs, right? We should do one
How
called
are you
Offices.
old enough to? We should do one called Offices.
But not let them know we're coming.
No, I was hoping bars.
Just kick in.
All right, you were a joy to have on. Thank you so much.
loved
You
it,
were
man.
awesome,
Thank you,
man.
brother.
Thank you. See, he's nice and cold because he's got 0 body fat, and I'm over here like 100 degrees.
Cool, we don't call it cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded. We love you guys. We will see you tomorrow. I have 2 shows, so keep that in mind, an 11 o'clock and a 1 o'clock. We're going to post all of David's information, One Heart's information, everything after we post the video. Thank you guys for being patient. We love you. Thanks for the support, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.